Hey guys, it's Nicole Purvy from Better Than Success, and I'm going to give you my top credit card maintenance system. Okay, what is a credit card maintenance system? First, I'm going to tell you what it is not. It is not a credit repair strategy or tip or whatever. Now, credit repair is a big topic, but what I'm going to teach you here today is not going to repair your credit. This is once you get your credit to a decent level, and these things I'm going to teach you are going to show you how to keep it there. So many times we work so hard to get our credit up. We work with these credit repair companies, and then we let it all go. And it's just like, I worked so hard and then it just doesn't. So this is how you're going to get your credit, or once you get your credit to a good place, this is how you just can keep it going higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay, so before we get started, there are a couple things you need to understand about credit, right? One of the major components of your credit reporting, your FICO score, is having actual credit cards, a revolving credit with large amounts, with large limits. Like, that's important, right? So if someone has 5 credit cards with $500 each, they're not going to have the same credit score, all else being equal, if someone with 5 credit cards with $20,000 each. How do you get to the $20,000 mark from your $500 mark? You have to show a good, you're going to have to show good history with that particular credit card company. How do you show good history? Using it and paying it, using it and paying it, using it and paying it. Now, if you have 5 credit cards, that's like so difficult. How are you going to try to juggle using and paying your credit cards? How are you going to try to juggle this? Right. So here's the next thing to know before we get into the system is that many credit repair companies or whatever, they're going to tell you that you want to pay your revolving credit, like your credit cards, down to 30% and below, or below the limit, 30% or below the limit. But the reality is, if you really want to kick credit's butt, you want to get it below 10%. 10% is the bucket. Now, every credit reporting agency has their own weird algorithm, but what I have found is that there are a couple of buckets. The first bucket is from 0 to 9%. The next one is from 10 to 19%, and then from 20 to 29%, and then 30 and above, right? So if 30, keeping it under 30 is good, what do you think keeping it under 10% does, right? So you want to keep it between any of your credit card debt between 0 and 9% of the actual limit. Now, that comes with a caveat. It really only matters on the date of your credit reporting, or the date that card reports to the credit card companies, right? You can put it at 100% as long as it doesn't report that amount on the date that it reports. Typically, they all report, they have a particular day, and they report on that day every single solitary month, right? So, okay, this is great. We all understand this stuff. You probably already knew most of this stuff. It's basic, right? Maybe I blew your mind with the 9%, 9% and under 10%, right? 9% or under. Maybe I blew your mind with that, but it's still difficult, like, right? You want to have all these cards with these high limits. How are you going to actually do it? Right? It's just so much. It's so confusing, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have a lot of cards with a lot of high limits. I use all of them. This is what I do. I create a spreadsheet with all of my cards and the reporting date. So one column is your cards, and the next column is the reporting date. I list them all, reporting date, by the ascending order from the reporting date, not alphabetical order, ascending order, so that I can go down every single solitary month and see, as the month progresses, who I have to pay. Now, what I do is this: all of my cards that have really great point systems that I care about, that I want to grow my relationship with, I will use these cards on a rotating basis. So for instance, let's say I have a American Airlines card, and that reports on the 10th of the month. And then I also have a Discover card, and that reports on the 24th of the month. All of my purchases during the month up until maybe about the 8th or the 9th, I can use anything and use it on the American Airlines card. Once the 8th or the 9th comes, I'll stop using it. I'll pay that card down to 9% and under. After that, I'll move on to my Discover card and use that whenever I want throughout the month. And then as we get closer to that date when it reports, the 24th, 23rd-ish, I'll stop using it, pay it 9% and under, and then rotate back to the other card. Now, that's just an example with 2 cards, but if you have 5 or more cards, you can really start to use different cards by the week, right? So like this week, I'm using this card, this week, I'm using that card, so on and so forth. It sounds complicated, but it's not. I've been living my life like this for quite some time. So, and it really helps with the relationship with the bank, whoever I have the card with. Because what they're seeing is, oh, wow, this person is really using this card and they're using it heavily. But then every single month, guess what they're doing? They're paying it down really low, under 10%, 9% and under. They're paying it down really, really low. And so you start to build that relationship. They see that you're using the card, and then every year, most cards allow you to increase your limit once a year. And then every year, you can go ahead and request a limit increase. Now, be mindful, sometimes those limit increases do a hard pull on your credit, but call them and make sure. Sometimes they don't. They may have a credit file on, or your credit report on file that's recent enough that they may not need to do it. So that's something you also want to be mindful of. Are you trying to monitor your inquiries and really keep your score low? Are you about to apply for a house, right? If you're about to apply for a house, inquiries are terrible. For a mortgage, they're terrible, right? So what you want to do is, okay, yeah, it's time for me to get an increase on this Discover card. Last time they gave it to me was last year. So this is what you can do. You can call Discover and say, hey, do I have an increase available on my file? And if they say yes, you want to guarantee and say, okay, awesome. Is this going to do a hard pull? And they may have like a alert, because sometimes they get alerts when you call and say, hey, this person is eligible for a free increase. We're not even going to do it. So they'll say, no, it's not going to be a hard pull. I've already kind of have the authorization to do it. Go ahead and do it. They may say, no, we actually don't. We have an old credit report on file, and I probably can get it for you, but we're going to do a hard pull. And guess what you're going to say? No, thank you. Or if you're not applying for a mortgage and like your credit score is really great and like you're not doing a whole bunch of inquiries, one inquiry, like it's only literally like a couple of points. Go ahead and do it. So this is how you build the relationship, and this is how you maintenance your credit cards and your credit report, your credit score, or whatever. This is the maintenance that goes on forever. And you've got your spreadsheet, and you're never going to be late because you're going through your spreadsheet every single month and you're going by the dates and you're saying, okay, I paid this, I paid that, I paid this, I paid that. Here's one more last tip before we go. I have that on the main, I have one sheet, and then I copy that and put it on another sheet. And then I'll create columns for every month, right? Next to the date, I'll have a column that say, April 2020, May 2020, so on and so forth. And I'll just make note of when I paid it. Paid. Leave it open when it's not paid, just so that I remember, like, okay, I have to do that. So this is a great way as you're building your credit and you're getting all these accounts. You're not going to be remembering all of this. This is a great way for you to keep track of all of it and maintenance your credit. All right, guys, love you so much. Happy entrepreneuring, and I will see you next time.